Good morning. Thanks, guys. Before we start, I'm going to ask you to please take out anything you have in your ears and the AirPods you can put away, and put your phones on silent, and please put your phones completely out of sight for the remainder. Remember, we don't have to do assemblies. I'm not checking off any box. Nothing is required. We put these assemblies together, as corny as it may sound, because we care about you. And I know that today's assembly will keep your attention, as this is about one of our own students. So please give a warm welcome to Mrs. Shadek.
Hi everybody. Can you hear me in the back? Good. So I want to welcome you here, and I'm thrilled to be back at Alumni High School. Lots of memories, and I understand it's your 100th year anniversary. I didn't know that until I pulled up, so welcome. I want to thank Principal James O. Marson for having us here. I also want to thank Adam Schreiber, and I also want to thank Christine Enrico and everybody else that I might not have mentioned. I want to point out that Rami Iluz is an intern at Alumni Recovery, and she has helped me tremendously. So I also, this will just take a minute, introduce who's here. I'm here with my son, Gregory Shadek, who will also be speaking, and who has been in recovery for 7 years. He runs 3 sober homes and a small construction company in Monmouth, and my husband, Larry Shadek, is here also. And that's all I need to know for that. I want to talk about Nancy a little bit. She founded Alumni in Recovery, and I'm representing Alumni Recovery. She founded it 10 years ago out of her experience of being a behavioral health nurse, and she worked at Newbridge in that unit, and she also is in recovery herself. She is passionate about helping people in recovery, addiction, hope, education. So, guys, I know I've been to high school. I know this is my big ask of you today. I want to invite you to pause. I want to invite you to ponder. I want to try to have you look at some deeper questions that most people are too busy or too afraid to ask. And the reason I want to do that is because addiction isn't just about drugs or alcohol. That's what I'm speaking about today. But it's about anything that takes hold of you, controls you, or keeps you from being truly free. And we all know what they are. I don't need to mention them. We know. So on August 1st, 1989, beautiful summer day, our 3rd son, Gregory, was born at Englewood Hospital, just a few miles down the road. Our family was beyond thrilled. He was a wonderful baby, very pleasant. And I just want to read this. I'm not going to do a lot of quotes. I often do quotes. My kids tell me a little much. But this is a quote that I want you to think about the people that love you, because this is how deep it is. There is no mistaking love. You feel it in your heart. It is the common fiber of life, the flame that heats our soul, energizes our spirit, and supplies passion to our lives. You are loved that much. You matter that much. So here is Mr. Gregory himself when he was a young little person, and delightful, totally a joy. He was full of wonder. He was full of excitement. He was as curious as they come. Questions. He loved his family dogs, Mina and Pax. Mina is with us today. Pax isn't. He loved his hamster Harry. He loved his goldfish Spotty. He loved firebugs. And basically, I put this in because I found this and I thought, I don't even think they teach geography ever, or it did then, but he got a geography award when he was in grade school. Just tickled me. Now, his brothers will say that Greg is just great to have around, was great to have around. they would take him, they adored him, and they would take him, or what we used to call him, Greaves, as any place, any time. There was such a presence and comfort about Gregory. Here he is, life goes on. He played all sports since, I don't know, when you start sports, very early now. And he played baseball, basketball, and football. Here he is in the flesh, if you will, for Tenafly High School. He's number 17, and I think my husband will not be happy if I don't say this, but he was the quarterback in his senior year. After high school, Greg went to St. John's University. The reason he went to St. John's University is because he wanted to have meet people of very diverse. He wanted to be around diverse people. And Tenafly is diverse, but he wanted even, more urban, diverse people. Things started to go dark at that stage. Late high school, early college, he was really struggling finding his way. He went to St. John's. He was there the first semester, and he came home after that and commuted to St. John's, which was fine. But I will tell you, the following semester, he crashed. He went back to St. John's, but he could not function. He just couldn't do it. I mean, that's what it steals. It can steal college from you, and it can steal any of your dreams, any of your passions. He could not do it. He stopped. He went to a rehab. After that, just some of the reasons. People ask the reasons. He was diagnosed with ADHD as a sophomore in high school. His depression followed, and so did addiction, and it reared its ravenous, ugly head in late high school and early college when he was going to St. John's. He also had a history of very severe migraines. He also tore his ACL when he was a sophomore here at Tenafly. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of not looking over there, I apologize. I would love to say that he became addicted because he had painkillers at that time. He did PT, he got better, he came back. But the truth is if you're neurologically, biologically set up for a disease, and I'm not saying that everybody is, and I am very clear that there's choices that have to be made around the world, that's what got him addicted, was the choices. So Greg was full of regret when he realized the enormity of his addiction and the consequences of his choices. He spent his early 20s in rehab and sober facilities. He spent a year and a half, we had gone down to check it out, a year and a half at Texas Tech, home of Patrick Mahomes, am I saying it right? Football player. And they were great. They were just great. Texas Tech is the oldest recovery college in the States. We spent a lot of time visiting him, and our vacations or our time away didn't really fit our pictures of where we wanted to be, but we wanted to be in Lubbock, Texas to see him. That's another picture that I just really love at Texas Tech. It's a beautiful campus. Okay, so here's the deal about addiction. It definitely hijacks the brain. It's not always loud. It doesn't arrive with the sirens blasting. Sometimes it whispers and we obey. It doesn't appear to be dangerous, but it always steals something. Your peace, your time, your potential, and ultimately your life. So, this exact process, I want to just tell you, it does happen, and you see it happening in your loved ones. And you end up going from operating from your reptilian, literally that's what they call it, the lower level brain, and you rob the other more functioning levels of your brain. You become extraordinarily reactive, and you will seek that drug, get that drug, you'll do anything to do it. just as, I hate saying this, but just as reptiles eat their young, that's what you do when you take drugs. You will eat your young, or eat your life away. Thank you. So I just want to go on. So actually, Gregory, this was the worst day of our lives. Gregory died on March 13th, 2016, and he was pronounced dead at Englewood Hospital. We were obviously devastated, but I want to tell you a little bit about the day. We were at our home. It was nearing dinner time. We were having, some pre-dinner snacks, and I went to get Gregory in his room for dinner. And I knocked on the door. Greg always answered. He always knew that we were kind of worried. And let me be clear, he was sober for a very long time. And he also had a full-time job. And he was due for a promotion on Monday of that weekend. This was a Sunday. I couldn't, and I had taken off all the locks in our house except for this particular one. And Gregory slept there. I slept there at that time because it was his older brother's bed and it was more comfortable. I couldn't open the door. It was just odd. At first I wasn't totally panicked, but then I started thinking, oh my God. I called my husband Larry to come to see me, and he was calling his name, no answer. Eventually Larry kicked in the door, and Greg was on the ground. Greg was blue from his head to his knees. We obviously called 911. I'm a nurse practitioner. I started CPR. The medics came. They Narcaned. I think it was at least 3 times. They put the AED on. No shock advised. There was nothing there to shock. And as the medics took him out of the room, I remember we lived in a house that had a little courtyard, and I remember distinctly they had his hands up like this and his legs up a little. And as I later found out, I think this was due to the fact they absolutely knew that he was gone, but they were trying to avoid the rigor mortis, so I guess they were trying to soothe us in some way. But anyway, we went down to Englewood Hospital. They put us in a room to wait. And I just want to be very clear that, you just never think you're going to be in this position. We went into a room, and the room was like a white, just what you think of, a white, sterile room with lights. They came in and kind of just said, he's gone. And we knew he was gone. Then we had the task of calling his brothers, who were totally horrified. So this is real. And this is a person. This is a Tenafly High School tiger that walked these halls. I'm going to read this. I might ask Chris. This is a hard thing for me to read, but this was one of Greg's friends. Yesterday, I lost my best friend. He had been struggling with addiction for nearly 10 years. Greg's was the nicest guy and didn't have a bad bone in his body. For those of you who knew him, you'll remember his laugh, his smile, and his intention to always make people around him happy. His unfortunate death goes to show you that opioid addiction is a serious issue in today's society. Society's spelled wrong, I know. Being an addict, forgiven. Being an addict doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you have an illness. Please understand that the severity of it, and always extend a hand out to help those in need. Greg was always searching for a way out. He finally found it, and there is no doubt in my mind he is in a better place. To my best friend, my brother, my soulmate, you will be sorely missed, and I will never, never forget you. May you watch over us in heaven. I love you, man. Rest in peace. Well, we love him, man, too. So, tough stuff. When Phil came to our home after that time, he he was all dressed up in a suit just to come to our home. It was really adorable. He came to our home and he was shaking and sweating. He was so, the whole thing. This is Gregory. This was the pamphlet at his funeral, where many people attended, and my family rallied. Our families were incredible. Greg loved his family. That's his oldest brother, Mark, also a Tenafly High School graduate, the one on your left. And Caitlin is also a Tenafly graduate. She was Caitlin with Shadek, and she is in the Tenafly Hall of Fame. There's my husband, who I believe is also in the Hall of Fame, and Christopher, Mark's son Christopher, but he adored his family. I want you to really think about this. This is one of the ponders. This is one of the big asks. All that Greg was, and I just listed some, you all have different roles. I mean, not everybody plays sports, not everybody, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have things in your life that you love, you have people in your life that you love, you have family. And families are all different, I know. But anyway, Greg was a son, he was a brother, he was an uncle, he was a nephew. He met one of his 4 beautiful grandchildren. He was a friend, an ally, and a connector. He saved another Tenafly High School graduate when he called his mother because he knew that person was overdosing. He was a student, he was an athlete, and he just was a remarkable, precious person. He had a very kind and generous spirit, and he was quiet, so I think sometimes misunderstood. And but he was all in. Okay, so here's the big get, guys. Here's the really, really big get. This was, and at times gets dark again, but this was the darkest chapter of our life. And I don't want, hold on. I don't want your parents to have to keep the ashes in the house, or which I have them right near me, because I don't know what to do. I can't let go. I really can't let go. So I'm grateful that Tenafly let me show you this, because this is real. This is him. So think hard, please think hard. So yes, a dream was shattered. Our dreams went to dust, but make no mistake about it, we came ahead. We had 26 years, 6 months, and 3 days with Greg. It's been a long, slow journey trying to heal, but we did heal. We are healing, and you can heal from anything that's in your life. We're talking about addiction, but there's healing everywhere. There's help everywhere. So transformation begins in you, wherever you are, whatever has happened, however you are suffering. Transformation is always possible. When we reach out and connect with one another, when we tell this story named The Hurt, we are renewed. This is Greg, my dear Greg's son. This was the last Christmas season, 2006, and it was 3 months to the day, 3 months to the day that he died. And he was totally sober, totally healthy, working, functioning. Had that reptilian got him. So I thank you so much for letting me speak here today at this high school, and I only wish the best for you. I'm going to introduce Chris Shadek, who also is a Tenafly graduate, and he's going to tell his story of recovery.
How you guys doing? Thank you, Mom, for sharing that. It's just truly a powerful story. It's tough for me to think of Greg. It was just a tough situation. I'm going to try to get through this the best I can. Again, it's almost surreal to be back here I graduated almost 20 years ago, and if you were to tell me this is kind of how my return would be, I came back last year, but that we would be sitting here in this kind of capacity, I would have told you it never would have been true. And thank you to my mother for sharing that truly powerful message. So, when I was here, I was making choices and decisions that were going to kind of lay the groundwork for my own addiction. At the time, it seemed like harmless fun, and we were just having a good time, and it just, again, I couldn't foreshadow what was going to happen, but like I said, I was making choices and decisions that was going to lay the nature of that addictive behavior within me. And, so I graduated here, I went to college, and for a time period, everything was okay because I was doing what I had to do in school. I was getting grades, somewhat decent grades, I guess, but, I was doing what I had to do to graduate college. And then once I got out of school, that's kind of where my addiction progressed. And again, it was one of those things that I just, I didn't want to say like I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was in trouble before I knew it. So again, I started just making bad choices, bad decisions, and I didn't think I was going to get to the spot I was going to end up in. And lo and behold, right around the age of 26 is when I started my journey into recovery, where I went to some treatment facilities and different places to try to get better. And it took some time. I got clean September 11th, the significant day, 2017. So even after Greg passed away, I wasn't quite able to, I don't want to say get it, but I wasn't ready to kind of make that transformation. Drugs can become a powerful thing. Again, like my mother had explained, sorry, I'm a little nervous. It kind of just takes over your brainwaves. Like again, nothing else matters. You know what I mean? You're going to do whatever you need to do to kind of get that drug and continue on in the addiction. So September 11, 2017 is when I got clean. I decided to make a decision to change my life. And that's, for some of you guys out there today, there is help available, talking about it, whether it's mental health, whether it's another form of addiction, there are people to help and to reach out and to talk about it. It is an important thing. It's an important vehicle to potentially, push yourself into potentially getting better, which I was unwilling to do in the beginning. So, the help is out there, and there's a tremendous amount of people that help me along the way. I mean, my two parents here, I owe them, they saved my life, and they didn't give up on me, and that's part of the reason I'm standing here today. With Greg, it was tough, man, because our relationship, we used together, we got high together, and it was kind of a toxic relationship, and I'm here to talk about it, and he's not. And I have a real difficult time accepting that. But with that being said, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and so I try to carry the message that there is a possibility to live your best life. Greg was never given that opportunity. We miss him until this day. Again, it's one of those things that once you're gone, there's no coming back. You know what I mean? We always thought there'd be an opportunity to get better, to get to another facility, another opportunity to just get better. He just wasn't, that wasn't in the cards for him. So as I started in my journey, and as I got better, part of what I did is I opened these 3 recovery homes. And again, that's just been part of my journey. So we see people come in all the time, and we're just trying to pass along the message to them that there is hope, there is the ability to get better. But we see how it affects families. Like I didn't understand the collateral damage I was causing because people loved me. When I was in my active addiction, it was all about me and what I wanted to do, and I didn't really think about the people that I was affecting. And again, just to be here, it's just kind of surreal. It really is. You guys are, great. You guys are all juniors. Yeah, so just starting out on your journey, college and whatever your plans and dreams might be after you get out of here, you know what I mean? I didn't really think my life was going to unfold the way it did, but it did. And I'm just grateful that I'm still here to talk about it, you know. And like I tell people, my struggles define me, but they also gave me a pathway to be grateful and give me a perspective in life that I never thought I would have gotten if I didn't go through what I went through. And again, you guys are all going to face, and I hate to give advice because when I sat in those seats, I did not like to hear from anybody. I knew what to do. I had all the answers, but my struggles define me. And I'm sure as you guys go through life, there'll be some challenges that you need to overcome, and some difficult times that are going to make you the people that you are. And it's made our family the way we are. And again, even though we've lost Greg, he lives on in our memory. And again, it's given me a life that I've been grateful to lead. Being a parent myself now, I lost a brother, and that was tremendously difficult. I was close with Greg. He was the best athlete in the family because me and my older brother did a good job of beating him up and making him tough. But being a parent myself now, I can only imagine, what it's like to lose a person that you take care of from a very young age. And again, part of this is to let you know that there is help out there, whether it's mental health, other addictive behavior, and don't be scared to reach out. Part of it is I didn't reach out, I didn't want the help, but there are professionals and people that can help. And I wish I had more to say, but again, grateful to be here. It's an honor and privilege to come back and to speak in the very school that I used to walk around in. Again, didn't think I would ever be here in this way, but grateful to be here. And hopefully, my mother and myself shared something with you guys that could help you out. And that's pretty much all I have. I know we're going to answer some questions if you guys have any.